and welcome to KJ's Kitchen. I am KJ. I'm 14 years a master fitness trainer, a fitness nutrition specialist, and most important to me, I am a happy mom serving up healthy meals from my kitchen to yours live here on Facebook every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern. So what I love to do is bring you real life food. I'm saying practical meals, snacks, desserts, baked goods, anything, but infusing health, really boosting up the nutrients and say up level all the actual habits you're using and doing currently. So my son is turning 2 next week Thursday, and tomorrow is the last day of preschool, so I am going to be bringing in his birthday cupcakes. I've tried this recipe out a couple different times and it's always been a hit. Of course, for his party tomorrow, I will be frosting them. But for today's segment, you'll be seeing the base of it, which could be a muffin. Now, I call this Eat Your Veggies Muffin because we are going to be sneaking in the veggies. And I tell you, whatever age child you have, or you know, sometimes children who are picky end up being picky adults. So even if you have picky adults who aren't eating their veggies, this is going to be a phenomenal way of sneaking the vegetables in. It's going to be a delightful, tasty treat. And like I said, you could eat this as a muffin, which I'm going to be showing you today, or topping it with your favorite vanilla or chocolate. I usually do a cream cheese based frosting. That will be what I do to make it an actual cupcake. So when it comes to vegetables in baked goods, typically you're thinking carrot, zucchini, sweet potato. Well, they're very sugary and starchy, right? So I'm actually going to be using very non-traditional vegetables in this muffin, but because it's going to be surrounded with some amazingness, you're never going to notice. Stay tuned. Let's first get our oven started at 350. Get that preheating, and I've got silicone liners on my cupcake trays. So even though I say muffin, you're going to be using a standard cupcake size. You could even go mini if you have mini people or you want them to be bite-sized. I don't suggest the large muffin tins. That's just too much of everything. These are gluten-free, and we're starting with the base. We're going to start with the dry ingredients first and then work our way to the wet. We're going to start with gluten-free rolled oats. Can you see that? I see the lighting is a little off. I get these at Trader Joe's. Not all oats are created equal and not all of them are gluten-free. So these are, they state gluten-free. You're going to want to look at the labels, guys. Starting with 1.5 cups, we're going to turn this into oat flour by putting your 1.5 cups into a blender or a food processor. Right now I've got food processor on. That's 3 times half cup. That's 1.5 cups. And we'll rock that out and get him. Whoop. This is my. Ooh, there you go. There you go. Let that work it out. We're going to start with the dry. Everything dry. And you don't have to go super, well, I'll go a little bit more. I see a little bit. You don't have to go super, super fine on this. It's okay if it's a little oaty. Of course, if you got really picky kids, you might go a little finer. And we're just gonna drop that into our dry ingredient bowl. I just use a nice small bowl because the dry ingredients are definitely the smaller portion of these. Now you do, when baking, want to do 2 main ingredients. Those are wet and dry. So combining all the wet in one unit and then all the dry in the other. So that's why I say there's 2 ingredients, wet and dry. So we're gonna save that puppy. We're gonna use this food processor again, so don't put him away quite yet. Let's start with our baking powder. Baking powder, we're gonna go 1.5 teaspoons. Drop her in there. And we really like the aluminum-free baking powder. This one, of course, is Trader Joe's. You can grab the aluminum-free even at Walmart. We're gonna start with that there. And then half a teaspoon of baking soda. And now we're gonna be bringing in a lot of sweetness. Even though this is a veggie muffin, it is sweet and decadent. So one of those elements of sweetness is adding in cinnamon. It's a secret sweetener. Cinnamon naturally is, I think, sweet, just, you know, even if you add it into your smoothies, and there's a lot of health benefit behind. That was my half teaspoon. It's 1 teaspoon total of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We use pink Himalayan sea salt. It offers a higher mineral count than standard. And now the kids will never know there's vegetables in there because we're gonna put enough cocoa powder. These are chocolate muffins, enough cocoa powder to cover it. So when they look at it, ooh, it's brown and it looks like a delicious chocolate muffin. This is Ghirardelli powder. You could use Hershey, you could even use the Aldi or Walmart brand. I was recommended this by one of my girls, Michelle. She's like, use a better cocoa powder. So I went with that. I'm actually using a half cup. When I get to the vegetables, you're gonna see why. So it seems like a lot of cocoa powder. Here's the magic of cocoa. When doing it, because it's bitter, cocoa's bitter, you wanna match the sugar, do I say sugar or sweet, the sweet factor to the cocoa. So what I'm saying is I want at least a half cup of sweetness in this to match that and make it a very sweet chocolate rather than a bitter chocolate. That was a half cup right there. And quickly, last but not least, I am using protein powder. So not only am I packing in the minerals and vitamins of a lot of vegetables into this, I'm packing in protein. So again, like if you have picky eaters or kids who just aren't great at eating protein, sneak it into their muffins. If they're not into smoothies, this is whey protein. Now, this is from my company, Isogenics. And you know, our company has a meal replacement shake. That's not this. This is just whey protein. In 1 scoop is 18 grams. We're gonna go with 2 scoops. If you're using a different whey protein, that's about half cup of protein. And that right there, boo boo, is a half cup. It's 36, oven's ready, 36 grams of protein that I'm adding into these muffins. How cool is that? Okay, I'm just gonna use this tablespoon because I don't have a little whisk here, just to stir up my one ingredient. My one ingredient is dry. Here's my dry. So getting it all mixed in nice, very well, especially with the cocoa in there, you can really tell when it's mixed up. It's not just a bunch of whites and browns. It's a really dark, rich color, and you can see the whites passing through. So you just want to get it so that you don't see any of the marbling, a big streak of powder or soda in there, baking powder or baking soda. There we go. That looks like one uniform color to me. Nice and brown. Okay. If you're into dark chocolate, you might even use the special dark. That's always a treat too, or I even sometimes cut it in half. Use half regular cocoa powder, half special dark. That's very rich. Let's move into the liquid ingredients. We're gonna start with those vegetables. So, I have explained, if you've tuned into KJ's Kitchen before, you understand that I am such an advocate of frozen vegetables because you know they were frozen when they got picked, washed, and then frozen, which holds the nutrients. If you're not shopping at a local farmer market, and we even get a CSA, a crop share, so I know they're fresh. Like they got harvested a day before I pick them up. And if you're not, then I urge you to shop in the frozen section, and organic is best. And that's actually where you're gonna find the most affordable organic produce, especially at places like Aldi's, Trader Joe's. Walmart even has a selection of frozen vegetables. And speaking of which, that is where I got this bag, is Walmart. Organic California blend. Check that out. Yes. What makes it a California blend? That is carrots, broccoli and cauliflower. So this is not just a bunch of carrots and call this carrot cake. We're gonna add in broccoli and cauliflower. I know, right? And we're gonna add in, now this is a 10-ounce bag, and then we're gonna add in, it's a little drippy because I'm defrosting these. We're adding in a pound, 16 ounces of organic spinach. I think I'm gonna make a big mess here. I'm gonna travel with the bowl. Organic spinach. This one came from Trader Joe's. So when you see that it's messy, that's why I had it defrosting in a bowl. What I'm actually gonna do, and I'll show you a little quick trick. I grab the bag's end, you see, just so nothing spills, and I grab my dandy little scissors, and I cut a tiny, because this has been sitting and defrosting. They're still cold, but they definitely are defrosted, I can tell. Now I've got a tiny hole, too small for big leaves of spinach to go through. I'm actually using my finger to do a slight pinch, and then I'm gonna squeeze the bag. Now this saves me, there we go. If you can see this liquid coming out, yes, it's coming out. You see that liquid? I don't know if you can see it. Well, I hope you can see it. I hope you can hear it. I'm getting a lot of liquid out of this spinach. You could use a cheesecloth, and that would probably be the more appropriate way, but this is the KJ way. I like easy, I like fast, I like less cleanup. So I've got my bag squeeze going on, and there's still liquid coming out of here, guys. So squeeze up your bag, get it. You see that coming out? I will show you how much liquid is coming out of this puppy. You can hear it. Sounds like I'm having a good old time over here. There we go. I can tell there's less volume already in the bag. And I can tell spinach is getting in the way of the hole, creating some blockage. So until you feel you've got a good amount out, again, I'm not super picky. All right, check out that bag. Woohoo! It is pretty flat. It was pretty large and drippy, and now it doesn't even drip. So I'm gonna now cut her across, get that bag open, and put this into the food processor. Here we go, making a little mess over here. And you know, I didn't really wipe out my food processor a ton. It's got a little bit of the crumbs of the oats. And there I go. Super bright spinach, full of nutrients. And now same with this bag. This bag's gonna be so much easier, guys. I'm actually cutting a larger hole in the corner and just draining, because these are pieces. Just lost a carrot. Excuse me, lost a carrot. There we go. Because they're chunks, they're full like little florets, you do not need to bother with the tiny hole. There we go. Get this bag, the full bag of each into the food processor. Beautiful. It is literally equal parts of the cauliflower and broccoli. Looks like there's a lot more carrot just because they're chopped smaller, but I bet ounce-wise they're all equal portions. Now, my kids, I don't know about yours, look how much spinach water came out of there. Wow, wow. That's a lot. My kids are super picky if they're gonna be seeing flecks of green and orange and saying, what is that? And it surely isn't a sprinkle. So you want to get this fully pureed. Like completely. There we go. It's gonna take a little time, and that's okay. You may need to pulse it if it gets a little stuck, just to get it shimmying around a little better. And I've got a spatula here to make sure that it blends. Now, here's the deal. I can see all of the broccoli and cauliflower. They're no longer in big pieces. Starting to look like the spinach now. There we go. Yes. It's gonna take a little time, like I said. I do do recommend this being done in a food processor and not in a blender because of the blender. I'm not sure how hard your motor is, but blenders definitely are going to burn up a little quicker. So you can see I'm not getting all of the flecks completely done, but it's very chopped up. Now once we start adding some liquid in here, you will notice that it starts to get a lot easier and well blended. So let's start off with 2 eggs. I say large, now these are way large. These are from actually my son's preschool teacher, Miss Misty. Thank you for these eggs from your chickens. We go free range and local as much as we can. 2 eggs popped in there. These are room temperature because I prefer it that way, but you don't necessarily have to do that in this recipe. And we're gonna go with a 1/2 cup of coconut oil. When you're doing coconut oil, you want unrefined, cold pressed, and virgin. That's the best version of coconut oil you're gonna get. And we're gonna go 1/2 cup. I put the oil in here first. It's room temp, or you actually, if it's glass, you could put it lightly in the microwave for about 10 seconds to get it runny. If it has hit room temperature or chillier, it actually solidifies. So we're gonna put the coconut oil in there with the egg. So far, that's all I'm adding. Just getting a little bit of extra liquid in there so we can get the veggies more pureed, and then we're gonna add in more. Hey, you can see it already. It's already starting to get emulsified. Okay, gonna keep stacking it in. That looks awesome. I'm going to now just scrape around a little bit more and add in more protein. So we already added 36 grams of protein with the whey, and now we're gonna be adding, let me tell you, 11 extra grams with Greek yogurt. Now this is Waco's 000. Are you familiar? So what it is 0 meaning 0 sugar, 0 sweeteners, 0 fat. I don't care about fat. We're fine with full fat in my family. But what I like is it's 8 grams of sugar for 22 grams of protein in a single serving. That would be a cup, that's a lot. 21 carbs. So if you are trying to keep your glycemic index stable, you want equal grams, carbs, and proteins. And this is where you see it, 21 carbs and 22 proteins and only 8 sugars. It's actually rather sweet. They sweeten it with stevia. I do recommend using a vanilla yogurt because you're putting in all those vegetables, which don't carry a lot of flavor, if anything, slight bitterness. We're doing a 1/2 cup. Let me just measure that out right there. And that's a 1/2 cup there. It slides out because I put the oil in first. Easy peasy. And we're gonna rock out a little bit of extra sweetener with brown bananas. Now these could be fresh brown bananas. When I have mine on the counter and I'm not ready to make a baked good with bananas, I actually throw them in the freezer. So these came out with my vegetables and they're defrosted. And I tell you, they're super brown because they've been in the freezer. If you ever put your bananas in the fridge or freezer, they get super brown. But they're ready. They're ooey gooey in the inside because they've been frozen. If you've never frozen bananas, it's a great way of knowing you always have a brown banana on hand for when you want to make something delicious like muffins or banana bread. So I'm going to pop in 2 bananas and I'm just going to peel and literally drop. They're going to peel right out and plop right in. Check those nice, they're beautiful color, that's for sure. They're not brown on the inside. And this guy, number 2. Oh, I said number 2. And look how he came out. That was kind of funny. I didn't mean to go there. But that's what happens when you're going live. And last but not least, with the sweetener, we're gonna choose coconut palm sugar. So far, all that's sweet in here is the bananas. The yogurt has a slight sweetness. It still is yogurt. And we're gonna go with coconut palm sugar, 1/3 cup. As I told you with the cocoa, you wanna have at least a match. Well, this is a 1/3 cup here, and with the bananas, it's easily matched for a 1/2 cup of sweetness. There we go. Now, the thing about coconut palm sugar is it does not spike glycemic index. So these are not only gluten-free, pumped with your vegetables, pumped with protein, they're not gonna spike the glycemic index. Cool? Is that cool or what? All right. Going back into the other one. Oh wait, stop. Don't go anywhere. We don't wanna go anywhere without vanilla. I've got pure bourbon vanilla here. This is Trader Joe's. It's not full of bourbon. It's from the area of Bourbon in France. And we're gonna do 1 teaspoon. Don't wanna forget vanilla. When you're dealing with chocolate, vanilla is crucial. There we go. There we go. Take it away. We're almost there. We're just gonna combine ingredient 1 wet, ingredient 2 dry, and voila. Hang tight, we're almost done. You may want to, because I'm very big on the pieces, stop and scrape the sides with your spatula, just because I see a couple flecks of spinach that I don't really want to see. And I see tiny bits of orange for the carrot, not very large. So if you have picky eaters, you're gonna keep going like I am. And if your eaters are okay seeing little flecks of carrot, it's kind of fun, they're colorful, you could keep it this way. I mean, they're flecks, but I'm gonna see if I can get rid of them all the way. This looks pretty amazing. I'm gonna show you up close. Woo! Making noise over here. Showing you up close. You don't even see the carrot. Do you see the carrot? I don't see the carrot. I see tiny, tiny, tiny bits of orange. We're gonna put that in our wet bowl. Ingredients 1 and 2. Get your spatula, it's always your friend. Get that out of there. I don't love any waste. Not from the refrigerator. I'm so good at using leftovers and recreating leftovers. I don't like waste in my kids' lunches. I'm really good at eating it, which is not a good habit. Luckily, it's a healthy lunch full of fruits and vegetables. But it is, I am not one to waste even scraping the bowl. I'm like, oh, can I scrape that one last itty bitty piece? Here comes the blade. There we go. And I'm just gonna clean the blade off too. I mean, that, all this scraping is essentially could be another whole muffin by the time you're done. That's some food there. So don't go flushing it down the sink with washing it away when you've got yourself another whole muffin to put in your tin. This will make around, I don't know, 18 to 22 muffins. It really does depend on the size of your muffins and how full you fill them. Here we go, here's the easy part. I'm getting a little messy over here. Ingredient 1, ingredient 2 combined. Here we go, wet to dry. And what I suggest is starting with about 1/3 of the dry and giving her a stir around. So it's very green. If you can see this, getting mixed with the brown and just wait for the magic to happen. It's all gonna turn mud. Yeah. And stir her up. Now here's the deal. If your kids are already gonna eat a muffin, if they're already gonna eat a cupcake, well then I don't feel bad putting things in like coconut palm sugar, or if you chose honey instead of coconut palm sugar, you keep the ratio the same, a 1/3 cup of honey or maple syrup, because your kids are gonna eat the muffin anyway. Now you're just bringing in the good stuff without telling them, and keeping your fingers crossed that they won't ask either. My daughter knew last time we brought these into her class, and I just told her, don't tell your friends that there's broccoli and cauliflower in the muffins, and see how many eat them. And I said the same thing to the teachers, and they said everyone in the class, there are 15 kids in the class, everyone but 2 kids finished their muffin. And those 2 kids ate like partial. So I was rather impressed. And that was without frosting. Tomorrow, in my son's class, they're gonna have these frosted because it is a birthday cupcake. And those little guys, you know, 1s and 2s, they're not gonna get picky when they think that their muffin has a little bit of oats in it. Okay, it's brown. Brown, can you see? Yeah, I mean, it's mucky brown, if you could say that. It's a little swampy looking. Once you bake it though, it's gonna turn brownie brown. And last but not least, like I was saying, no guilt. We are adding another level of sweetness with chocolate chips. And we're gonna go with a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. And if a little fall over, it's okay. And we're gonna reserve some for sprinkling on top, especially if you're not frosting them. Stirring that around. That was a 1/3. I may have lied, and it might be a 1/2 cup because it looks a little shy. That was just a few extras. So a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips, that's the answer. Ooh, I can smell the cinnamon. I can smell the vanilla. It is so good. And we're just gonna fill up these cups over here. Hang tight. We're gonna clear off this vanilla yogurt real quick. Yeah, welcome to my kitchen. Second finger, because I don't want to put my mouth finger on here. But 2 fingers will do it. It looks clean enough to me. And we're gonna use that for scooping and get these puppies in here. If you're not using silicone, you can use paper. I have not tried them in the tin itself, but if you're doing the tin itself and you plan on getting them out, I'm sure you're gonna have to grease them. But I do recommend using the liners. The silicone is awesome. You see I'm filling them up really full, right to the top. They're not gonna have a really big lift. They're not gonna rise a ton. I mean, you got a ton of veggies in here. They are super moist, super delicious. They're a little on the dense side because you are dealing with oats, so that leaves it a little more dense. But as I said, if you're frosting these, who's gonna ask questions? And if you're topping them with chocolate chips and you're not frosting them, again, they look divine, they taste good. People aren't gonna get too inquisitive if you don't say anything. Kind of like my black bean brownies. My husband would never have known had I not told him that there was 0 grain in there and only a can of black beans. If you don't know that recipe, I'd be happy to share it with you. Just send me a little message. I'll be sure to get it to your inbox. All right, almost there with this tray. And as you can see, I still have plenty left here for the other tray. This is 18 I have here. Almost there. So if you're anything like me and you run out of space, so like right here I have 12 going in for these 6. Hang on, hang tight. Let me scrape some sides and bring in the good stuff. Might be able to make another muffin out of that scraping. Here we go. Getting these. Oh, I make a mess. Don't make a mess. All right. Almost there. Can tell I'm, being courteous of your time. But in KJ's Kitchen, we're always in real time together. I don't do all the prep and just show you how to, put in little bowls of little things. I am in real time here with you. Because if you're cooking in your kitchen, you're going to be taking the same amount of time as I am. Okay, here we go. I think that about covers me. So if you're anything like me, that's what I was going to get at. I wanted to see how many I had there. And you get maxed out and you have no more cake pans and you are like, oh man, I hate that I would have to do all of these and then put in just 1 or 2 more muffins. Well, here's my trick. This towel is getting really beat up today. Here's my trick. I take my extra silicones, and this is not very big. I take a small. I'm gonna take a little small Pyrex because I can. And you might choose whatever size suits the dough. Sometimes I get out a small 8x8 pan, but this I think will suffice because I only have maybe one more muffin, max 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape my bowl. Oh, get all that good stuff. And get that last muffin taken care of with the scrapings. Say there's 18 kids in the class, with my daughter's class, with the teachers and all, I do bring in 18. This gives me one trial muffin to taste before sending away a new, usually creative and brand new trial recipe. It's fun to try things out, guys. So this is 3rd generation of this recipe. 1st generation was too dense. I lightened it up. 2nd generation didn't have enough vegetables, in my opinion. And this is 3rd generation awesomeness. Take your chocolate chips and we're gonna top them all off. I think I'll even pour them into a cup so I can access them easier. And you'll know, woohoo, aside from the extra few, that's about a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips that I am sprinkling on. Give them like 2 or 3 each one, 3 or 4, however you think, because they're pretty and they really do make for a more enticing look when you got all these yummy chocolate chips on top. So I've got 4. I'm doing 4. Do 5, do whatever is gonna work for you. Get some in your hand, go a little quicker. Yep. There we go. They don't have to be in designs because they kind of fall perfectly into a little pattern every time. If you're my daughter, you're counting them and you're gonna pick which one has the most, because she knows quickly what's good. And women, she's my little girl, she knows chocolate is hitting the spot. That's the truth. Here we go. Okay, so that was not a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips, guys. That was maybe more like a 1/4 cup. So that's a 1/4 cup that you'd reserve to stick on top of the muffins, and one up to eat, because that's what you can do when you're baking in your own kitchen. All right, I'm gonna pop these in the oven. I'd say 20, maybe 25 minutes. It really depends on your oven. All right, and I can get all of these in here at the same time. 20 to 25. I even have had them, it sometimes take a little longer, maybe 28 to 30 minutes. You're in charge of your oven. You're in charge how to test. They're gonna test out just like any baked good. You're gonna get a toothpick, stick it in the center, make sure it doesn't come back with a bunch of sticky ooey gooeys. If you hit a chocolate chip and it comes back chocolatey, grab a new toothpick, find a new spot, and make sure it hits the cake and comes out clean. I'm gonna set that timer so that I don't get burnt muffins for my kiddos. And I'm gonna set mine to about 23 minutes to start, and I'll check them then. And when they are done, I do recommend you get them out of the pans onto a cooling rack, and as soon as possible, get them out of the silicone, because you don't want them to cool down and get a lot of moisture at the bottom, because you would like it to stay firm enough. Even when you frost it, take a look at this puppy. Hello. Is that something you could sink your teeth into? It looks like chocolate. It has gorgeous chocolate chips on top. Let's even open it up and show you the inside. Ooh, it's a little warm still. You don't see, I don't see big bright orange things. You don't even see the carrot. So let's give it a little taste. Wow. Okay. I can really pull in the cinnamon. The chocolate's there. The chocolate is there without being super rich, because the cinnamon and vanilla really balance it out. It's just sweet goodness. And the chocolate chips are what really brings the chocolate into the flavor profile. If and when you choose to even frost these to make these a birthday cake, It is going to be phenomenal. Let me see. Had a little low battery alert. So I'm gonna be putting a cream cheese chocolate frosting on top of these for my son's birthday, for his little celebration tomorrow at his preschool. And I am super excited to share this. Eat your veggies, chocolate chip muffins, gluten-free, high protein, and tons of vitamins and minerals that you would not likely get in your standard muffin or cupcake. If today's recipe served you, please, you know what to do. Share the love. Share this on your wall so your friends can also learn. And if you can think of someone who this recipe would serve, tag them in the comments below. And if you are not subscribed to the KJ Kitchen newsletter, where you're going to get my weekly emails to your inbox, you will use the link that will be below. And if you already subscribed, don't worry, this will also be in your inbox soon enough. And I thank you for being here in my kitchen today on KJ's Kitchen, live here on Facebook every Wednesday. You guys have a blessed Wellness Wednesday. And don't forget, eat your veggies.